very warm welcome to all of you once again at another Dutcham event, the 27th this year. I'm very proud to say that because we've been very active. We have not been stopped by Corona, that's for sure. So, but good to see all of you as well here today. Now we have the tradition of doing webinars, but this time we are doing in a meeting format, so it's a bit more scary, to be honest. I mean, because I see faces now, and it's not only that you can see me, I can finally see you. The reason why we do this is because we really want to interact with you guys. So if you want to say something, you want to screen something, you want to connect with us, please let us know, because this is the reason why we do it in a meeting format. Now, initially, it was supposed to be a young pro event. Now, we have a few young professionals, but we also have a few less young professionals. But no worries. I mean, you're all allowed it, and we will not put your age on the screen so far. So don't worry. But I think that the topic was so interesting that a lot of people also asked us to join, even when they were not young professionals. So, hey, why not? I mean, I would say welcome to all of you, members, non-members, young pro or less young professional. We have a nice team coming up. Now, circular economy. What shall I say about that? Not a lot, because we have a top expert with us, and the stage will be all hers in a few seconds. But obviously, we all know that we are challenged to eliminate waste, pollution, and to try to use it as a new raw material. This is the essence of circular economy. But there is much more to say about it. And although we have COVID now on the top of the agenda with a lot of companies, societies, and groups, still I believe that circular economy sustainability as such has not been out of the market. I think we are still facing big challenges on that point. So this is also the reason why we wanted to put it here at Dutcham on the agenda. Now, why do we do it with Dutcham? Well, the reason is very simple, because the Dutch have something to do with circular economy, and they have something to do with sustainability in a broader way. Moreover, the Dutch government has no waste by 2050 on the program, and it's not only driven by the government in Belgium, it's also driven by the local diplomacy. If I take, for example, the booklet that has been, I think it was last year that it has been distributed with the support of the Dutch consulate in Rio, a very nice booklet giving more information about circular economy. This is a proof that it has been always on the table of the Dutch, and this is also why the reason why we have it here in Dutcham as one of the events. Now, as I said, luckily I don't have to talk into detail about the topic, because I'm not at all the expert. I have a top cast today. I think not only she's a very passionate lady, but she's also the founder of the Exchange for Change organization. But besides that, she is an expert member of a lot of circular economy platforms here in the Americas. And she has been taking a lot of initiatives, not only with the book I showed, but also on other domains. She has been taking a lot of initiatives on this subject. So I'm very happy, very proud that I can open the debate and open the stage and welcome Beatriz Luz. And your microphone is on. Hi.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I can see some common faces as well. Some of my colleagues, Natalia, Nahubia, hello, Bert, and all the young professionals from Dutch companies in Brazil. So I'm going to share my slides. Thank you very much, Peggy and Duda, for the invitation. Is a pleasure to be here. It's a long-term partnership that we have with the Netherlands, so we are very happy to share this space and the opportunity to share more information and knowledge with all of you. So let me share my slides. So I brought some slides so we can have a discussion about how we can all be part of this decision. So it's a new economic system that we first need to understand why we need a new economic system and what's happening in a global scenario, our Brazilian Dutch partnerships. And I will finish off with some best practice and some case studies that we can then use for our inspiration and discussion. So I would like to start with a question raised by Marco Braugart, who's the person responsible for the Credo to Credo methodology. And in one event that he came to Brazil, he asked this question: are we protecting the environment if we destroy less? And this is a very powerful question because it's kind of creates a scenario for us to evaluate our production process and how we are going forward with our consumption and the decisions that we make on a day-to-day life. Basically, there is a new report that just being launched called the Circularity Gap that evaluates the extension of the exploitation of the natural resources that we have been doing as a result of our production process. And the results are incredible because it's basically an unsustainable use of resources. We are consuming materials faster than the planet can recover. And with this analysis, the result shows that the world is 9% circular. That means that from everything that we are extracting, we are living in our planet as waste. 91% of materials as waste and part as a fixed asset, but there's a lots still to do. So basically, in order to understand what circular economy is about, let's look at our current economy. You know, the linear economy that is a result of the way that we are consuming our resources, producing and using the materials. So I bring this example of Brumadinho, which for me is a very impactful example of what a linear economy is about. So we get the materials from the ground and we use to produce convenience for our lives, and we don't realize that there's a waste left behind. And in the case of the mining industry, this was in the form of a mining materials left in the barrage. And as this system got over fully compatible, we saw this disaster that has affected not only environmentally, but also in terms of social impact, with 134 deaths, hundreds of species affected. And we finally see the fines and the value of the company decreasing as a result of a current practice that no longer is allowed in a current scenario. So now with this disaster, we can see that we cannot continue with the practices as we used to. We need to reevaluate and bringing this to our day-to-day lives. I like to share some pictures of a photographer called Greg Siegel, which is very impactful because he has asked a number of people to keep all the waste that they generate after 1 week of consumption. And they took pictures of all these materials, and it makes us think that we as an individual also have a responsibility on what's happening with the world in terms of waste, in terms of impact. In Brazil, we have this statistics that from 2014 to 2014, the population has raised 0.9%, and the waste generation has raised 2.9%. And it doesn't vary too much when we're talking in a global perspective. The United Nations has highlighted that the population growth up to 2050 will be 25%. And if we continue with this current production and consumption system, we will have 70% more waste within our society. So we are talking about risk. Risk management is an important part of a company's financial decision. And I think this is where it touches very closely to entrepreneurs, to the industry, and it's not just about environmental pollution or waste generation. So we highlight here on this report 4 linear risk. The first one is the risk of supply. More and more we are seeing the lack of resources due to this extensive exploration of the natural ecosystem, and this brings volatility to the material, and more we should be looking at renewable materials to avoid this risk of supply. So the second risk is the risk of competitiveness. Since the Industrial Revolution, we are used to develop products thinking of a programmed obsolescence. The industry thought that if they develop a product that will last for a fixed period of time, they will get their consumer back to them. You know, this used to be a clever strategy, but now lack of product quality and new consumer demands are affecting directly the competitiveness of the industry. And we have to change the way we are producing products. The third risk is the risk of conflicts. The more we are isolated in our value chain, the less we know about what's happening outside our boundaries, and this will generate conflict. So we need to be looking at more transparency and more collaboration in order to integrate the supply chain and avoid this risk of conflicts. And finally, if we do not have a systemic view of how all the parts of the value chain and how all the supply chains are interconnected, we will face the risk of survival. So we need to think of innovation. We need to adapt the current scenario. So this is crucial for business stability and long-term survival. So circular economy is about a new long-term view, a new business model for growth and development. So basically, we highlight the 3 new R's of the circular economy. We must reevaluate the production process. We must review our values and attitudes and how we are creating relationships within our value chains. And finally, mostly, we need to redefine products and consumption. So this is the broad view of a circular economy that is making government and companies evaluate their growth strategy. So it's about maintaining and generating value. To be efficient is not longer enough because we're just gonna delay the scarcity of resources and reduce the impact, but impact will still be there. So this value mounting demonstrates in a nice visual way what's the difference between the linear economy, when we focus on the use phase of our production process. And once this product is used, we just throw it away. And what the circular economy is talking about is that we should maintain the value of the products and the materials as long as possible through reuse, redistribution, remanufacturing. And by doing that, we need to redesign the way products are made to allow products to be fixed, to be modular, and to have a longer life cycle. So we see here that recycling is the last loop on this value creation model. But once we develop these several loops, we can reduce to a minimum level the extraction of natural resources because we have plenty of materials available already in our society. So basically, what we would like to highlight here is that within 1 year, this discussion has moved from basically being business guidance and a legislation piece to being number one priority. So in 2018, we saw some legal, financial, and technical aspects coming to place. So in terms of legal aspects, it became law. The circular economy package was published. Three Dutch banks have gathered to develop new directives, financial directives for the circular economy. And this report was published in 2018, and it was considered a landmark for the understanding of what does it mean, these new financial returns and investments for circular economy business models. And finally, in terms of technical aspects, the whole world has gathered to develop a new directive, a new ISO norm for circular economy. And Brazil has been very much involved since the beginning of this discussion. And basically then, within 1 year, with the European Green Deal being published, circular economy was erected as number one priority. And the most reactive aspect that we've seen in the market was BlackRock breaking the new ground for circular economy developing, creating a circular economy fund. So BlackRock is one of the largest financial asset management institution, and they have published, together with Ellen MacArthur Foundation, new guidelines and an opportunity for finance in a different way. And this year, we've seen it's not an isolated attitude. They've been continuously looking at changes in the marketplace, and they published, a few months ago, results of how they are analyzing their investment wallet, and they are punishing high emissions companies over climate inaction and putting a lot of companies on watch. So this highlights to us that circular economy is not just a discussion, a trend, but it's the result for us to address a lot of the current challenges we have in our society. For example, climate change. For COP25, we've seen a lot of discussions encouraging governments to reconsider their climate change strategy with circular economy in mind. So on this graph, we see that it's a research carried out by Circular Economy and Ecofis, a Dutch expert organization, where they highlight that all the national agreements set at COP21 focus on renewable energy, energy efficiency, and reduction of deforestation will not be enough to reduce the raise of the worldwide temperature. So it's the business models part of a circular economy that can help to reduce that gap. So circular economy is not just a way to reduce impact or reduce pollution. It's a way of growing our business, developing and putting new products and services in the marketplace. And as a result of that, reducing the impact and finding a way to generate value for all parts of the value chain and creating a balance of growth and the regeneration of our natural ecosystem. So basically in 2015, we decided that we wanted to bring this discussion to Brazil together with a number of international partners to accelerate the transition. And the Netherlands has always been a strong partner. We were invited in 2016 to participate on the launch of the Netherlands as a circular hotspot initiative, which was a mission that gathered specialists and representatives from 7 countries in the Netherlands to discuss circular economy as a strategy for the country until 2050. Arjen was the Dutch consulate in Rio when we developed a mapping exercise together with the industry association and talked with a lot of industries, finance institution, and run a lot of roundtables. And this is the book that Peggy mentioned, that we materialized all these learnings, and it became a reference for the Brazilian markets. During the Olympic Games, we also developed discussions bringing together Dutch companies and Brazilian companies. And most recently, we brought circular economy representative to Brazil, and we promoted together with IPT some discussions with local councils in São Paulo. And as a result of this long-term partnership, we are launching a documentary that highlights the best practice of Dutch companies to bring inspiration to the Brazilian market. And this has been in production with Tasha Filmes and Global Filmes for the last 3 years. And tomorrow we're going to have the formal launch at a drive-in open cinema in São Paulo. And if we have a chance, we can show a little bit of the movie after our chat. And basically, the Brazilian scenario, it does follow the global scenario, with the industry being the leader on this discussion. The National Industry Association has already published some reports incorporating circular economy into their industry vision from 2018 to 2022. And we have seen some white papers being published by especially the chemical industry and the paper industry. As I said, in terms of technical aspects, Brazilian representatives have been involved in the development of the ISO norm, and also we have seen some movements from the finance associations, BNDES and FINAP, promoting some funds and getting startups to invest and develop new business models for the circular economy. So we have a really good base for discussing. It's good to see that Brazil is getting more mature on this topic and realize the importance and the opportunities that we can have by working towards the transition, the circular economy. In terms of the Dutch view, circular economy is already a vision for 2015, and some research have shown that the internal product value could be raised for 8.4 billion. This is a research from Rabobank when they evaluate the new circular business models in terms of business as usual. There's also a potential to reduce the emissions in 9%. And there's a lot of best practice being seen from the Netherlands. There is a circular space, a circular value creation space that we can see, highlighting all this business that are implementing the circular mindset and strategies and priority sectors being worked. I bring this recent report where circular economy is being discussed in line with the Sustainable Development Goals and highlighted as a crucial element for the transition, this systemic view and the need for collaboration. Amsterdam also this year has promoted their circular strategy, bringing lots of elements to the discussion, and with a view that this can help to produce and consume in a different way and sustain a better life for their citizens, and also avoid scarcity of raw materials and contributing to a sustainable city. So it's interesting to see the several elements is starting from changes in the consumer habits. So refuse the use or buying certain products that you don't need. 7 out of 10 Amsterdam residents had a product repaired in 2019. So we can see when we remember the value hill, all these different loops that can bring new products and new materials to the society without the need to continue to extract materials from the ground. I also wanted to highlight the circular pavilion from ABN AMRO, which is an amazing building that I had the chance and the opportunity to visit, that have been built taking into consideration the use of recycled materials, modular floors, and modularity has been the key element of the design. There are examples that they have, for example, acquired window frames from a Philips building that was being demolished, and they were able to adapt and use these windows frames for this building. They also use wood and steel as a means to the structure of the building. So no concrete and no toxic materials. So they use a lot of fixing systems that they can remove afterwards without using materials that will be difficult to put apart afterwards. It's interesting to see also one of the key messages of circular economy, which is transform products into service. So consumers becomes users. So on the lift system of the building, instead of having 2 lift systems, they calculated the people movement flow into the building, and they realized that they could have only 1 lift, and this lift was built to serve as a service and not just as a product. So they calculated the supplier relationship pays a business model where the revenue is based on the number of people using that lift. So that means that they use less materials and they still maintain a user experience and a deliverable that is appropriate for the building usage. They also use textile waste as a thermal isolation material. They, in fact, created a big campaign with their employees to bring used jeans and used clothes that were transformed into new isolation material. Also, in this view of providing a service instead of a product, we can highlight also Philips as an example, providing a system that is called paperless. So we don't need to buy the light bulbs anymore. You use the you receive the lighting service. So by doing that, you will use the system in a better way, in a more efficient way, and the client does not need to be concerned of what to do with the light bulb after it has been used. So, and the biggest learning of Philips on this business model is that as they became responsible for the repair and the maintenance, they made a lot of improvements on the lighting systems and attachments to improve this maintenance and reduce the costs. So at the end, everybody's happy. The supplier has reduced their costs, has created a long-term relationship with the client, and the client is satisfied with a system that doesn't need to be worried about the waste that's being generated. And another example of thinking in circles is the Dutch psychopath that was made of plastic waste. And this has been an initiative where you can see that plastic cups and bottles and packagings that somehow could be difficult to recycle because they are contaminated. They are too mixed with several materials, and they were able to develop a technology that transform a non-valuable waste material into a new raw material. And this is what we can understand in terms of the opportunities for thinking differently, looking at materials and looking at business models. And what about now, as we are faced with this global crisis? What are the interconnections between COVID, climate change, and the economy? We believe that this has opened up a lot of the things that we were denying, that we didn't want to see, and now everything is open there. The crisis, the pandemic has demonstrated how weak we are in terms of individuals, in terms of our health systems, in terms of our ability to sustain government and private discussions. And so as we rise to the challenges caused by the coronavirus pandemic, the question is no longer should we build back better, but how? We've seen that it's a time to reflect, it's a time to evaluate the impact of our decisions. And as we stay in isolation, companies, governments, and people are redefining their long-term views. And we have also seen the direct impact of our production in the environment. So if we had any doubts that we were causing pollution and we were causing an impact on the planet, now this whole current scenario has shown that there is a direct impact. We've seen the reduction of pollution with the operation systems being all stopped. And the main difference between the COVID pandemic and climate change is that we don't have the cure nor a vaccine for climate change. So we need to redefine our values, our attitudes, and the way that we are living our lives, that we are making our decisions in a systemic way. We cannot be innocent anymore and do not look for the impact of our decisions. And I really like Harari when he said recently on a Financial Times article, this is happening around the world. It's the same time. It's the first time in the world that something is happening around the world at the same time and in the same way. So we need a spirit of global cooperation and trust, because if we are able to share information globally, what we learn in Milan, for example, in the early morning might save lives in another country in the evening. So we must to ask ourselves how we can cooperate, how we can develop a new economic model that brings value to all parts of the value chain. So we have three key messages to highlight. We all agree that the world will be different. This has been discussed in all countries. It's been headlines in all newspapers. So we must change. And it's not new. Professionals working on circular economy have already seen the sense of urgency and the impacts of our daily lives. So COVID-19 has accelerated the sense of urgency. So collaboration is key. Companies are getting together to bring new solutions to the marketplace. So in a way, we've seen that the large organizations will not survive with the smaller. A new equilibrium must be in place. We need to learn how to make the financial flow of resources more equal and redefine a new economic balance. And the COVID-19 has pushed for a green recovery plan. So it's good to see a lot of organizations getting together and saying we will not change our decisions. We need to commit to work together, sharing knowledge, and all the financial recovery funds will be subject to the companies directing their practices to a low carbon economy and circular economy. So in the Netherlands, this has been imperative. The integration of the new Green Deal and the circular economy is part of the recovery plans. We've seen Slovenia, for example, and another country that has been launched a Green Recovery Alliance, highlighting that the future economy has to be built around green, sustainable, and circular principles. So how do we get there? We need to start not only thinking about recycling new materials, we need to think about new business models and also look at the new consumer and the new practices. So now we'll go through some examples to inspire us and to see the importance of looking at these four aspects: technology, scales, partnership, and value perception in a different way. Circular economy, it's a systemic view that demonstrates that it's not only a technological solution. We need to integrate the whole value chain and engage all levels in order for the technology to be really a key solution to bring new practices without generating impacts and pollution and waste. We need to think of scale in a different way. We must move from short-term analysis to long-term analysis. is will only be possible to develop these business models if we work together in partnerships, looking at a systemic approach. Collaboration is key, and we will see how and what does it mean, this collaboration in a practical level. And value perception is no longer about putting a quality material in the market, or a cheaper material. Competitiveness is not only more about cost and quality, is about generating value for your consumer and for your client. So there's another way of developing leaderships. So, for example, a toastery ale is a beer made out of leftover bread. So they realized that two completely different companies could transform and create a new value supply chain by bringing one material that was not used from one company to become a valuable raw material for another company. And this can only be done in partnerships and in scale. It cannot be just a donation of material. You have to develop a new business model, a new value proposition, and developing also partnership with the market. This beer is being developed and sold in many restaurants and bars where the consumers, where attract consumers that value this type of product. Orange fiber is another example of bringing a waste material into a valuable raw material, but with scale. So they develop a fiber out of the orange peels in partnerships with large, high-profile organizations that were already buying the material up front. So it's about generating the market pull and not the market push. When we look at remanufacturing, we can see large organizations like Caterpillar that look at product development not only in terms of efficiency, but designing effective products. They realized that 65% was the cost of material, and 35% the cost of the personnel involved in building the machinery. So instead of just using less and less material, they started to develop modular products and products that could be repaired, because then they could reduce waste and avoid the extraction of new materials and still have a valuable value proposition and a product into the marketplace to supply the necessities of the market. So we are looking at new consumer behaviors. A new initiative being launched by the World Economic Forum is considering the use of more valuable packaging and the use of refill, the design of new products as a sustainable alternative for single use. So we've been discussing the issues of packaging and whether plastic or glass or paper, what's the most, what's the best material to be used. But what about changing our habits and changing the way we are presenting our materials to the marketplace to prevent waste? So basically, we have examples here that create durable packaging platforms instead of single-use materials. So what will enable alternative models to scale? So this project is about bringing this to scale, how we can create refill systems and how we can encourage the consumer to refill at home, to return from home. So it will be a new practice as we present these solutions to the market. Also, this is a very good example, is called the loop system, that demonstrates the technology aspects, the scale and the partnerships and collaboration to bring a new business model to place. So TerraCycle, which is a expert organization, has gathered 25 leading brands and proposed them that they all created reusable packaging for ice cream, for cleaning cosmetics, biscuits and cakes. And basically, the consumer will receive this at home, and after they finish, they will assess the platform, the digital platform, and the system will collect all this packaging to be washed and reused again. So it's not only a change into the product design and how companies are presenting products to the marketplace, but also how society and consumers, how ourselves can change our habits to avoid waste generation. And the Cup Club is a really good example of that, because coffee cups are used in a very large scale, generating large scales of coffee cups waste. And it's very difficult to recycle because you need the paper and you need the layer of plastic inside to be able to recycle that, to keep the coffee inside. So it's not a case about finding the best material, but finding the best way of providing a user experience. So it's like bringing together the sharing economy and new design. So you have a system that you can scan the cup as you enter a coffee shop, and then after you drink your coffee, you go to the next coffee shop and you return your cup. This is another example of a chemical company that wanted to bring a nutrition material to isolated villages in Africa. And they created a whole system where the packaging could be recovered and transformed into furniture for the schools. So this is the key message for circular economy. We cannot develop anything in the beginning of the process that we don't think of what's happening at the end of the use cycle. So basically, to finish,
Beatriz, I'm looking a bit at time, and I'm just willing to pitch on the examples that you were giving. I think what we can say is that all starts indeed with the mentality of ourselves, right? With the ambition that we have ourselves and how we can contribute to changing all of this. Preventing waste. And I think when I look at the chat box as well, I mean, Ana Maria already made a comment on, well, Brazil is a very poor country. And we have, I think we can say we have some issues with education of people as well. The whole educational system here in Brazil is still a big challenge. And as Priscilla replied on it, I mean, one comes with the other, right? It's all about education. How do you see here in Brazil the challenge? I mean, how can we contribute, to circular economy? Don't we have still a very long way to go when it comes down to the mentality and the education of people on this topic?
Yes, I think this is about changing the way we produce and the way we consume. We are developing exercise with a German organization in terms of how circular economy can generate new jobs. And we believe, for example, remanufacturing, reuse, repair, these new business models can generate a lot of new jobs, especially for the developing world. And this is how the circular economy can create value for all parts of the value chain. It's about a new equilibrium. It's about large organizations working with small organizations. We need the whole value chain integrated. Mm-hmm. And I just want to finalize with the last few slides, talking about technology. The technology, for example, will bring access to people. For example, we have Uber that is bringing comfort to one part of the society that perhaps cannot buy a car, but they can have access to the car with the system in place. So the sharing economy and all this new business model can help a certain level of the society to have access to products and systems that perhaps they will not be able to have access in a linear economy. And this has to be done as a it's not a one company job. So we highlight the role of the governance in order to get the companies to work together. In the Netherlands, we say that this is how we can create this new value along the value chain. When you talk about recycling, for example, there's a lot of aspects of social aspects. We are working with several companies that the brand owners believe that they have to support the beginning of the value chain because that's where the cooperatives are. We believe that we need to create the value on the end of the value chain. If we create a marketplace for recycled material, for example, we create the market pool and we'll develop the whole value chain in a more playing field. And this is why we need this governance, these companies working together to find this new playing field, because otherwise it's just going to be assistance to the poor and not just finding a new equilibrium to bring the investments to all parts of the value chain. So this is what we are doing here in Brazil with a Circular Economy Hub. And we are discussing in a circular with all others circular hubs, because the biggest question is we know that we have a new path to be built, but the rules of the games have to be changed, and we need to learn among everybody, developed countries, developing countries, and we can create a new operating space for this circular transition. So it's about looking beyond, and that's where we talk about commercial relationships, new sustainability along the value chain. And here is where it lies, the social aspects of the circular economy. We don't want to promote the people collecting waste from the floor, from the ground, from the streets. We want them to be educated to work in different levels and with different roles in the society.
Mm-hmm. So indeed, as we said, indeed, and as mentioned also in the chat box, I think it's all about education. But as Dan also mentioned, I think we have also a role probably to push the companies not to use circular economy just as a sort of a window dressing, as Dan called it, or just a marketing strategy. I mean, because this is also often done. Again, looking at the time. Other questions that we have in the group, because I mean we're passionately listening to you, Beatriz, but maybe there are some other questions. Feel free, guys. You can open your video, you can raise your hand, you can speak out loud. We don't not only having a chat box, but you can also talk to us. Dan, like in class. Hi.
Just talking a little bit more about what I was saying. I think that in this moment of COVID, unfortunately, the whole economy is showing that their own objective is profitability. I mean, that's for me the only way I can explain that all companies are firing people. So I think we have a very big road to pass to get to a circular economy, and I truly believe that it should be like this. But I'm I'm a bit skeptic at this moment that the main stakeholders of companies are the shareholders who are only interested in profitability. So think we need big companies to really show that there's another way, that there's a new way, that there's more objectives than just profitability. And I am personally, if I look at the entire market, very disappointed. I have friends working at Emirates, for example, a company known for being extremely wealthy and for having had every year enormous profits, and they are firing everybody. And it's so for me, I'm pretty optimistic about the future, but when it comes to circular economy, I'm a little bit disappointed at the moment.
Well, I think a good example that things have changed is the example of BlackRock that I mentioned in the beginning of my talk. I think the financial market will play an important role into this transition, and companies are already seeing, we see a lot of discussions on companies gathering to discuss and to create commitments to sustainable development goals, and the ones that are not looking in this direction, they will not survive on the marketplace. So the competition is not just more about quality and cost, it's about generating value. And with the digitalization and the new kind of connected world, consumers, I think, are more and more powerful, empowered, demanding a value proposition for the companies. Competitiveness is very high. So I think we have to think of the role of the consumer as well, and us as citizens and as industry, how we are buying and how we are selecting our suppliers, and looking at this whole new governance that is coming to place.
Hi, anybody else has any other question? Feel free.
Yes, it's Ana Maria here. I would like
free, Ana Maria.
thank you. About the local opportunities. I see that France is investing a lot in local opportunities. They call terroir, and they are creating a lot of jobs there. Opportunity, local economy change. What do you have any information about local opportunities?
Well, I think, as I said, we have two key areas that will be beneficial for Brazil. One is looking at our biodiversity, bioeconomy, and the natural ecosystems, and how we use that to position ourselves in a global scenario. Natural materials and bioeconomy is something that is being widely discussed, and we need to develop ways that we can increase the value and not just be a commodity a country. And in terms of job creation, I think, as I said, if we look at repair, remanufacturing, integrating the value chain, this is the key challenge of circular economies, integrating the whole value chain. And I think in a way, COVID has demonstrated that we have seen globally and in Brazil, companies getting together to bring new solutions and applying their expertise into different applications. And this is what the circular economy is about, looking inside, looking at our expertise and how we can apply in a different way, bring a different value to the society. We cannot continue to grow and develop products as we have been doing. And now we see the waste, the impact in our face. So we have a big question to ourselves as a consumer and as industry. What are we gonna do now that we see this impact? And I think a lot of companies are already reflecting into this position.
Guys, looking at the time, we try to be very precise at Dutcham. I think we need to wrap up this most interesting session. I think that the conclusion also, Beatriz, and I remember the picture that you showed in the beginning, where people were shown in the middle of all the garbage they produce. I don't want to take the same picture for myself, but I got the message, and I hope that also the people that attended here got the message and say, like, let's think twice, because everything starts with ourselves. Thank you very much, Beatriz, for having done this roundtable with us and for giving us more insights in circular economy. I also would like to thank Duda, because she has been driving behind the scene all of this event. So thank you, my dear Duda. It was great that you put this together for me. Thank you. Love you, girl. Thank you very much. I hope to see you very soon in Dutcham again. And don't forget, follow us on LinkedIn. Thank you, Beatriz. See you all soon. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. It was good again. Thank you.
Thank you, Roderick. Speak to you in a minute.
Bye-bye.